Charlie, yeah? Well, it's not going to be anyone else, is it? I don't think anyone else would have the patience for this. Least of all the people at the clinic. I should probably explain. Today's interviews are taking place a little later on in the day because they've been called into the clinic this morning for their midweek checkups. They just rung me up to tell me I've got more out of the patients in 2 days than the clinic has in all the time they've been checked in. In light of this success, they've even tried getting the patients to tell their stories again, but apparently none of them would. They all said they would only want to share them with me. Well, I'm flattered, obviously. But I now think they'll become more protective over their stories and won't want to tell me. If they think more people are asking, especially in Greg's case, they might go back to shutting off and keeping everything secretive. That being said, I'm going to have to experiment. If they're scared of sharing their stories, I need them to feel relaxed and calm. At the beginning of my course, I signed up for a short course in mild hypnotherapy to be used only in extreme cases. The idea being that it stimulates new thoughts and behaviours in subject, clears away any preconceptions or worries and opens up the thoughts. I'd like to clarify that during the next stage of this process, I'm not going to abuse the patients physically or mentally. At the level of inducement they'll be under, they will always have the power to stop at any time. The goal here is to find out who or what they think this Slender Man is, and I can't determine what their responses will be like.
You can't hear me.
First patient for this round will be Joanne. How are you feeling today?
Good, thank you. I'm a bit worried.
Why is that?
You haven't got your little file with you.
I don't need it today. It's helped me as much as it can. There are some things that I need to find out that aren't written in it. Today we're going to do things a little bit differently. I'm going to try some mild hypnotherapy. Put you in a completely relaxed state of mind and see how you answer my questions then. Of course, if you don't feel comfortable doing this, we don't have to.
Oh, I feel very comfortable with the idea. It's nice to see you looking at things outside of the box.
This isn't meant to be spiritualistic in any way. It's not about auras or souls. It's about your mental well-being.
You can be honest with me, love. You're just saying all that because of the tape. When we first started these interviews, you weren't that sort of bloke who considered hypnotising anyone. I knew that before you first opened your mouth. But you seem different now. What's changed? What do you really think you'll achieve by doing this?
When we tell stories to each other, it can be changed depending on the circumstances and how we feel at the time and all sorts of things. This is meant to give you a clean slate to speak from, a neutral perspective on the story. Simple answers, simple questions.
Can I confide in you, love?
Of course.
I've told you all I can about my story, but that doesn't mean that's all there is to tell.
What do you mean by that?
That day on the riverbank, when I met him, something changed. It wasn't until he left that I noticed it. Not all of him left. A bit of him stayed inside me. I feel it every time I think of him. I can't describe it, but if you want to ask questions, that's the part of me that you should be asking.
Could you close your eyes, please? We'll begin with some deep breathing. Slowly breathe in and out. Every time you breathe out, roll your eyes back into your head. Try and go further back every time. This is telling the lower part of your brain to switch off. Now rub your tongue over the roof of your mouth. This is telling the frontal portion of your brain to wind down. This works at different speeds for different people. Don't worry if you're not there yet. There is no rush. I'm going to start the questions now. Try not to think about them too much. First off, can you hear me? Joanne? Can you hear me? Joanne, are you there?
Joanne isn't here.
Can I ask who I'm speaking to?
Me.
What do you want with Joanne? You got to speak for you. You must have something to say. What do you want to say?
I'm here. I'm here.
Joanne, talk to me. It's all right now. You're here. You're safe. Deep breaths, yeah? Come back, Joanne.
Charlie? Love, what happened? Did I do it wrong?
You did fine. But I had to pull you out. Did you feel things getting a bit extreme?
It felt like that part of me was getting bigger. I felt alive.
Did you see anything? Have any thoughts that you couldn't explain?
It was just dark for a while, and then I was in something like a forest, but not. It didn't look right, and then when I saw him standing tall over me, that's when I started to feel that part of him stir inside me. I remember reaching out to him. Almost reached him. Put me back under.
Absolutely not.
Put me back under, love. I need to see him again. I need to feel him again.
I think that's enough for today. Go home and get some rest. We'll see how you feel in the morning. Keep rolling your eyes back. Keep rolling your eyes back, Daisy. I know this will feel a bit weird. You can stop whenever you want to. Are you ready for the questions?
Yeah.
Something funny?
Mr. Slender thinks this is funny.
Are you with him now?
Yes. I'm glad he's back. I haven't seen him in such a long time.
Where are you?
I'm in his forest. This is his favourite place to be. He says one day he'll take me here in real life.
Aren't you scared?
Not when he's here. Are you sure? I don't think he'll understand.
Excuse me?
I was talking to Mr. Slender. He wants me to tell you a story. A very special story.
As it happens, Daisy, those are the best kind of stories.
After I met Mr. Slender, I tried introducing him to all my other friends. They said he wasn't real. Even the teachers said he was my imaginary friend. None of them could see him. I told you he was shy. None of them were very mean about it, apart from one boy. His name was Brandon. Brandon would always push me around and call me names.
What kind of names?
He said I was mad. He said the school would lock me up in the cellar or take me away to a special hospital and I'd never come back. It upset me quite a bit. And after I told the teachers, it only got worse. He pulled my hair and hit my head against the school gates. He said he was trying to beat the madness out of me. All my friends just stood and laughed.
My God, what did the teachers do about it?
I didn't tell them. When he'd stopped, I tried to run away, but he kept pushing me back. So I scratched him, all the way from his ear to his mouth. I ran out of the gates and tried to go home, but Brandon was following me. He chased me all the way into the woods. My dad never let me go into the woods, so I didn't know them very well, but he did. I started climbing the biggest tree I could find, but he stood at the bottom and threw stones at me. He kept telling me to fall off, saying that he would leave me and no one would care if I died. That made me cry even more. There was a thick branch that was big enough for me to sit on, so I hugged the tree as tight as I could and prayed to Mr. Slender to come and help me. It wasn't very high up. Brandon could still reach me with his stones. They really hurt. And then they stopped.
Why?
I didn't know at first. I just kept hugging the tree and crying. I must have been up there for hours. I remember feeling something on my shoulder, like some sort of hand patting me and telling me everything was all right, and I knew I could climb down. I reached the bottom and there was no sign of Brandon. I thought he might have gone home, until I looked back up at the tree. Brandon was up there. His school jumper was tied around his neck and around the branch.
What happened then?
I went home and waited for my dad. The school had been asking him where I was, and he wanted to know why I was so dirty and where the bruises came from. I told him I went to the woods, but I didn't tell him about Brandon or Mrs. Slender. He'd probably say I was lying.
What happened to Brendan? Do you think Mr. Slender did that?
Who else could have?
Now then, Greg, are you feeling brave?
Why should I? What are you going to do to me?
Nothing that you don't want to. How familiar are you with hypnotism?
I'm leaving.
Greg, wait.
I know when I'm being taken for a ride, lad. I've had my fair share of the board things and the card with pictures on them, and I know a trick when I see one. I thought I could trust you, though.
Then why aren't you trusting me now? We've made it this far into the process, and at no point have I tried to catch you out. Why would I bother putting in this much effort if I didn't believe you?
Don't take it personally, lad. It's been so long since anyone has spent this much time with me or talked to me as if I'm more than a nutcase. I'm still finding it hard to adjust. But when you've had all your pride taken away from you, trust isn't something you get very often.
It is crucial for this exercise.
What are you going to do exactly?
Whenever anyone has tried asking you about your story, you get all agitated, jump down their throats and get out as soon as you can. I know I've read your fire. The idea being behind this is that I can relax your mind completely and calm you down. From there, I'll ask you the usual questions, but you should be more willing to answer them.
And this is what you're studying, is it? Hypnosis?
Not exactly. But mild hypnotherapy and psychological counselling go hand in hand when the cases are this extreme.
I've been called many things, but extreme is not one of them.
Hopefully, after this, the only thing you'll be called is Greg. I'd like you to shut your eyes and listen to the sound of my voice. Start by breathing deeply. In through your nose and out through your mouth. Relax all of your muscles. Start rolling your eyes back into your head, as far back as you can. Once you've gone as far as you can, start rolling your tongue over the roof of your mouth. This is all to do with shutting off most of your brain. Can you see anything?
No. It's dark. Really dark. I'm scared.
I'm here. It's all alright. Keep talking.
It's changing. I'm in a place. There's trees. But they're not trees. I don't know what they are. It's still dark.
Are you alone?
No. There's someone else here. I can't see who, but they keep moving.
Who is there with you? Greg? Speaking the same voice as last time. Ah,
Yes.
you're the one who saved Joanna? And it's your hand in Greg's photographs?
Yes.
Why were you in those photographs?
Death.
What do you want? Greg, breathe. Breathe, come on, Greg, you can do it. Greg? Nice and steady.
Did it work?
You tell me. Do you feel any better?
Not really. I feel all shook up.
Do you remember anything?
I remember talking to you. You asked if I could see anyone. And I was sure someone was there with me. And then you woke me up.
There was more than that. I managed to speak to him.
The thing in my photographs. What did he say?
It was his hand, all right. He killed those people. That's not all he's done.
Then why did we stop?
He was speaking through you, Greg. There was only so much I could ask him without putting your health at risk. This isn't what this is designed for. The last thing I asked him was what he wanted. I didn't get an answer. He just pointed at me. It's a form of mild hypnotherapy that's designed to relax your mind and give you a new angle to look from. I'll guide you through inducing yourself, and if at any time you feel uncomfortable or want to stop, you'll have the choice to say no. You can even do that now if you'd like.
Have you heard yourself?
I admit this wasn't my first choice of method, but given circumstances, beggars can't be choosers.
And you really think this'll work?
It's worked on all the other patients.
Could have been lying.
Most of the time, I hope they were.
I prefer you to ask your questions as you normally would. You won't believe me anyway. But if I'm going to be made a fool of, I prefer to be conscious while doing it.
If you don't want to do the exercise, there aren't many questions I can ask. But I would like your opinion on something. The patients that I've been seeing have all claimed to have encountered this Slender man. When they went under, they all saw him. They described the experience as being in some sort of forest. You've read up on accounts like these. Is this like anything you've ever heard of?
I'm not doing a degree in psychological counselling. I can't read dreams for you. But if you put them in a state where their minds are open, you've made them as vulnerable to him as you could.
Is this how he works? Getting inside people's heads? If he's the psychological phenomenon, there are ways to help.
He's not. He's real. He's a physical thing. But he's as real as you or me.
Have your experiences with him being in the flesh then?
Most people's are, from what I've read. That's where my experience started, once I'd read about him. That's the only reason he's interested in me, because I know who he really is. I know how he works. Imagine if I told people about him, if everyone knew who he was, no one would be scared of him.
But you haven't told people about him.
How could I? Who would believe a story like mine?
I would. And after 3 interviews, I think it's time I heard it.
I just stumbled on him at first. I used to spend a lot of my time on my computer. I didn't have any mates in person. I used to moderate a gaming forum, helping people out, that sort of thing. You get a lot of idiots posting in it, but this one bloke was genuine. It wasn't a chain message or spam. It was a plea for help. Everyone jumped down his throat and I had to delete his post. But he'd written something at the end of it. Beware of Slender. I started just searching that. Then I found websites dedicated to his sightings, conspiracy theories and witness accounts. How to find him and what to do if you see him. I was at it for days. That's when things started to get weird. I'd been walking down an empty street and something would flash past the corner of my eye. Or I'd be home alone and hear footsteps. Little things moving in the shadows that I couldn't put down. I thought I was going mad. So I admitted myself to the clinic. At first it was a general group therapy sessions. They asked when my problem started and that's when I made the connection. I hadn't seen it before. Only after I'd learned about him did things start popping up. They moved me to private sessions for threatening severe paranoia and because I didn't want to leave the house, separation anxieties. They say my condition started to get worse. I say he started to get worse. I only set the college toilets on fire because I saw him then. He was standing behind me in the mirror and he'd gone when I turned around. But I wasn't taking any chances. I thought that I'd have got rid of him. I stole money from work so I'd had enough to get the train somewhere and move away. But they caught me before I had the chance. Even though he'd taken everything away from me, I thought I'd won. I hadn't seen him since getting fired. I hadn't been sleeping well at all. I could finally start to get my routine back. I wasn't healed by any means, but things were getting better. Until one night. I was sleeping fine one minute, and then the next I was wide awake, eyes open and everything. But I couldn't move my body at all.
Sleep paralysis.
That's what my doctors said. They say it isn't meant to last long, but I'm sure it went on all night. I couldn't move my eyes, but that was it. That's what my doctor said. They say it isn't meant to last long, but I'm sure it went on all night. I could move my eyes, but that's it. When I looked to the side of my bed, I saw him. He was back, standing over my bed and watching me. I don't know how long he'd been there.
You think he's been there before?
Every night. I don't sleep in that room anymore. My mum lets me sleep on the couch in their room, but I only get like 3 hours of sleep at most.
And if you're convinced he wants to take you, why didn't he do it then? Despite everything you know, you were defenceless and couldn't put up a struggle. What stopped him?
He's waiting.
Waiting for what? This review is going to be quite short. I'm shattered. Late interviews today and early ones tomorrow. I can't say I haven't had a lot to go on. I suppose the hypnotherapy was a roaring success. I wish I hadn't have tried it. I think I've just made the situation worse. I'm going to have to try and put things right before I cock up even more. Regardless if he's real or not, this can't lead to anything good for anyone involved. I don't have much comment on most of what happened. I'm either going to sound mad or sceptical. Do I buy into the stories and join them on a wild goose hunt to contact this thing, or dismiss everything you've told me? Prescribe bed rest and lots of water for their conditions. Daisy was most concerning. I can see why her dad didn't want me asking about school. There's an official police report of a young lad named Brendan being found in the woods, hung by the neck and a scratch on his face. Even after forensics, they couldn't find a single fingerprint on him besides his face. Daisy was questioned, but no one was charged and the case was dropped. Whoever did this to this poor lad, they got away with it.